In this episode of Global Warning, the Marines get a new RV, Colombia gets a new rifle, India's 6-decade-long communist insurgency may be ending, China muscles into Chevroletastan, and Chinese companies are selling more to Iran in its war against the United States. Well, I've got 5 topics today. That's 25% more content for the same low price of $5 a month on Substack. I'm practically giving intelligence away. Let's get started.
As we know, there are known knowns. There are things we know we know. We also know there are known unknowns. That is to say, we know there are some things we do not know. But there are also unknown unknowns. The ones we don't know, we don't know.
Global Warning with Ryan Macbeth.
Welcome to Global Warning with Ryan Macbeth. Here I offer a brief analysis of newsworthy events, developments, and trends that have been lost in the shuffle of these larger events dominating the news cycle. First up, General Electric awarded a $450 million contract for the pre-production phase of the new Marine ARV. Now, this Advanced Reconnaissance Vehicle, or ARV, contract includes 3 variants, including an ARV C4 UAS variant, a 30mm gun variant, and a logistics variant. This new ARV aims to replace the Light Armored Vehicle, or LAV, first introduced in 1983. The new ARV includes a suite of tools and defenses, including sensors, communication systems, and weapon systems that would normally be featured on bigger and heavier platforms. So why does this matter? The ARV is both lighter and smaller than many combat vehicles fielded by the Marines and a few other branches. And this shows that the U.S. military is taking the lessons from Ukraine seriously, giving smaller numbers of soldiers more resources to fight in heavily contested areas. Cheaper, nimbler, and lighter vehicles make sense for the large-scale operations that we might see in the drone age. On the strategic and operational levels, the drone isn't as important, but at the tactical level, it could mean some serious pains for those on the ground. This vehicle shows that, in part, that change is happening, and it could have some serious impacts on how Marines conduct their combat operations in the near future. Next up, Colombians have a new rifle. Now, this new rifle, believe it or not, is not an Israeli Galil. The relationship between Colombia and Israel has been tenuous at best ever since Colombian President Gustavo Petro announced on May 2nd, 2024, that Colombia would break all diplomatic relations with Israel, labeling its government and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu as genocidal. Apparently, the Colombians have put their money where their mouths are and have decided to stop buying and licensing Israeli small arms. Now, this is a problem because Colombia uses the Israeli Galil as their standard infantry rifle, manufacturing most of the parts in Colombia, with some components such as barrels and night vision sights being manufactured in Israel. Colombia's Ministry of Defense announced this new rifle back in September 2025, which is slated to begin production during the second half of 2026. Interestingly enough, this rifle has been named the Miranda after the legendary Venezuelan general Francisco de Miranda, who fought in the American Revolution, the French Revolution, and the Venezuelan Revolution of 1810. So why does this matter? 2 things come to mind here. First, the Israelis are getting knocked all over the place for what happened in Gaza over the last few years. This has pushed many countries, including Colombia, to reconsider their purchases of Israeli weapons. Second, and most important here, is that countries like Colombia see their reliance on other countries as a strategic failing. According to Colombian officials, the new rifle is the first step in strategic autonomy for Colombians. Colombia produced and fielded a licensed version of the Galil Ace for nearly 30 years. Politics and economics have brought this relationship to a crashing halt. Miranda, the hypothetical name for this new rifle, looks to be about 15% lighter and 25% cheaper than the Galil. Well, super convenient that Colombia can follow their principles and have a lower total operating cost. Maybe that's a coincidence. I don't know. I'm on the fence. Next, we have India's Maoist insurgency coming to an end. Maoist insurgency, called the Naxalites, has raged in central India since 1967. And if the Naxalites sound like a villain from the 1979 Buck Rogers show, they're not. The movement started in a West Bengal Indian village called Naxalbari. For the past 6 decades, this insurgency has been a thorn in the side of many Indian governments, and now the current Indian government claims the Naxalites' days are numbered. This Maoist insurgency in central India has been a brutal one, and it has recruited some of the country's poorest and most vulnerable people. But as India's infrastructure has improved, allowing access to healthcare and economic opportunities and education and banking, this movement has lost some of its core support. It's also helped that India has killed or captured many of their top leaders. So why does this matter? The global war on terror has taught me and countless others that terrorism and insurgency can have economic linkages. While, yeah, you can kill your way out of a problem, and the fighting against this insurgency has stooped to some serious lows, I would be remiss if I didn't point out that Indian government solved this in part with economics, and I've often said that nothing stops a bullet like a job. Countries like the United States can help countries like India fight insurgencies by better helping them develop their economies and their state capacities that'll help them reach radicalized individuals. Next, we have Chinese EVs moving into Chevroletastan. Uzbekistan is colloquially known as Chevroletastan by locals due to its large population of Uzbek-licensed Chevrolets running around the country. A recent article in The Economist explored why these licensed Chevrolets came to dominate the car market in Uzbekistan. The story goes back as far as the early 1990s when the dictator of Uzbekistan wanted to build a car industry in this Central Asian country. In 1992, he partnered with South Korea's Daewoo, which later sold its stake around 1997 or 1998 to General Motors, the owner of Chevrolet. And American companies like Chevrolet have licensed models to be manufactured in Uzbekistan. In recent years, the Chinese have begun moving into the country, with the Chinese automaker BYD looking to inch into the Central Asian car market with their electric vehicles. This has been facilitated by a new BYD electric vehicle factory in the city of Jizik. Around 5% of cars sold in Uzbekistan were EVs in 2024, which is up from 0% in 2022. While charging stations are still rare in the country, China has bright hopes for conquering Uzbekistan through its electric vehicles. So why does this matter? Like China's Belt and Road Initiative, China's EV dreams look to conquer the entire world as well. And while it might seem laughable now, it is anything but. The Chinese are actively working to build a Eurasian economic zone where they call the shots. This is seeing early development in Central Asia, which is quite resource-rich, and it connects China to key economic hotspots throughout the Eurasian continent. So where does this leave the United States? Well, honestly, it's hard to tell. Without viable alternatives, Central Asian economies are going to side with a rising China. Economics and politics make this clear. Finally, we have China is becoming more active in the Iran war. According to a recent New York Times article, China appears to be getting more involved in the Iran war. Quote, intelligence agencies have assessed that China is secretly taking an active stance in the war, allowing some companies to ship chemicals, fuel, and components that can be used in military production to Iran for the war. Now, although they are likely taking overland routes from third-party countries, which limit the quantity of what can be shipped. China has also been reluctant to send finished military goods to Iran, but something has definitely changed. I recently published a video on YouTube discussing Corgi Global's findings concerning China and its energy problem. China essentially has until June 8th before it runs out of its oil reserves, and Iran sends a lot of oil to China. This could be China's undoing if they can't stack the deck in their favor. Without a change in what's going on in Iran, China is again a sitting duck waiting for the oil to start flowing again. And if it can't get enough oil, it won't be able to keep its economic engine running. It'll have to sacrifice its economy for other mission-critical organizations such as the People's Liberation Army. I mean, after all, navies and air forces are very oil-thirsty organizations. Thank you for listening. New episodes appear weekly at ryanmcbeth.substack.com, where you can also find the companion intelligence briefing. Sources are cited using footnotes and active links to ensure transparency and replication.